Good evening. Welcome to Northwest Tonight with Ian Haslam. Thank you for joining us. Our top story. A mum who took her own life after being jailed for shoplifting was failed by prison staff and health workers.
It's never going to bring my mum back, it's never going to change what's happened, but it acknowledges the wrongdoings and the failings and the neglect that she suffered that subsequently caused her death.
Also tonight, the world's biggest head and neck cancer research trial is conducted in Liverpool.
Better catch it before it burns this place down.
Ed Sheeran perfected his art there. Now Preston's live music venue, the Ferret, is saved from closure. The battle to be number one. Manchester United women chase FA Cup glory at Wembley Stadium.
And what a pleasant day it's been today. How fabulous is this picture? This is the scene in Cumbria, Torva, where they got 21 degrees, and I am going a little bit stir crazy. What's the weather like for the weekend? Join me at the end of the programme. I'll give you all the details.
An inquest jury has concluded that a woman who took her own life at Style Women's Prison in Cheshire was failed by prison and healthcare staff. 55-year-old Christine MacDonald was discovered in her cell 5 years ago, 2 days after she was sentenced for shoplifting. Today, a jury recorded a conclusion of neglect, citing gross failings to provide basic care. Mairead Smith was at Cheshire Coroner's Court.
Christine MacDonald in happier and healthier times with her youngest child, Sherry, after she was born. Today, Sherry, now 34 years old, spoke about the loss and anger her family feel about the death of their mum, 2 days after she was taken to Style Prison in Cheshire.
This is the last time that I can stand up for her. So yeah, that's really important. Today, it's never going to bring my mum back, it's never going to change what's happened, but it acknowledges the wrongdoings and the failings and the neglect that she suffered.
Christine MacDonald was arrested alongside her eldest daughter, Christy, on the 1st of March 2019. Christy fell from the roof of a third-floor building, sustaining serious injuries. Sherry told the jury her mum and sister, Christy, used drugs together and developed a toxic dependency on each other, but she meant so much to many people.
She would help anybody. She was fair, and she taught us about being strong and independent. Yeah, she was a good person.
When Christine MacDonald was sent to Style Prison, she became seriously unwell. She was worried about her injured daughter and wasn't supported with opiate withdrawal. The jury found that failings by prison officers and healthcare staff contributed to Christine MacDonald's suicide. They said they didn't follow proper guidelines for drug withdrawal and didn't tell Christine MacDonald that her daughter was safe, a message that was meant to be passed on to her. They ignored her request to see a nurse, and when they found her unresponsive in her cell, they didn't raise the appropriate alarm.
All of them failings that were acknowledged today, I have always believed contributed to a death. So to hear that out loud and have that on record is really important.
Christine MacDonald's death is one of 26 at Style Prison since 2007, 11 of which were self-inflicted. The assistant coroner has said she will write a prevention of future deaths report to the governor of HMP Style and the prison service, as she believes there are serious concerns about the lack of use and understanding of emergency response codes in prison.
It should send quite a serious message. The difficulty is they've had this message repeatedly for years, and it's still a failure.
Mairead Smith, BBC Northwest Tonight, Warrington.
Well, tonight a prison spokesperson has said they're investing £14 million to improve safety in women's prisons and will consider the coroner's findings carefully and respond in due course. Now, it's the biggest head and neck cancer research study in the world, and it's taking place at hospitals across Liverpool. It's called the Pathos Trial, and it's looking at how these cancers can be treated to minimise the long-term effects for survivors. Davinia Ramos has been to meet 2 patients who've been taking part.
Almost 2 years ago, Stuart Keane was told he had head and neck cancer. He'd found a lump while shaving and needed surgery to remove the tumours.
I had a 5-hour operation and he removed one tumour from outside my neck and then another one from inside my neck. I had 22 staples in my neck. And once they took them out, I then started radiotherapy and chemotherapy for 6 weeks.
His consultant at Aintree Hospital asked him if he would take part in the Pathos trial, the world's largest head and neck cancer study, and he agreed.
It's given me a lot more like a mental security that I'm going through the trial, so I'm in hospital all the time, I'm constantly checked up on, and it's like reassuring, but it's the opportunity to give something back.
One of the main side effects for people having treatment for head and neck cancer is a deterioration in their ability to swallow. Pathos looks at ways patients can be treated to minimise these long-term effects.
Patients who enter the trial have surgery just as they had before, either with a robot or with a laser, and then depending on the outcome of that, they end up having either normal standard of care treatment or de-intensified treatment afterwards. And when the trial is over, we'll be able to see whether in fact our original hypothesis was true, that de-intensified treatment would actually lead to similar survival outcomes but better swallowing function.
For Gordon Nash, it meant having reduced radiotherapy, which has improved his quality of life.
The radiotherapy is probably the hardest part. Most people, even myself, you think the surgery is going to be the toughest part, and it really wasn't. Your throat gets very, very sore, it's difficult to swallow, it's very intensive. So I 100% understand the reason for that research, because if they can shorten the timeline for the radiotherapy, then there's going to be less damage, less discomfort during the treatment.
The trial, which has been running since 2015, ends this October. So far, more than 1,000 patients have taken part. It's hoped it'll change how these types of cancers are managed across the world and improve the lives of patients. Davinia Ramos, BBC North West Tonight, Liverpool.
Yeah, really good work taking place there. Some of today's other news now. And bosses at Co-op Live say the arena will have its much delayed opening on Tuesday next week. They say the fault with an air conditioning nozzle has now been fixed. It means Berry Band Elbow will become the first official group to play at the new Manchester venue. Ticket holders will also be given a voucher for a free drink and food item. An investigation's underway into the cause of a huge fire which severely damaged a leisure centre in Salford early this morning. The blaze gutted the roof at the Clarendon Centre and it took 40 firefighters to bring it under control. No one was injured. An extra £4 million will be spent to fix Lancashire's potholes. The County Council says local people have made it clear the state of the area's roads is their main concern, so it's agreed to increase its budget for highway repairs. Merseyside aims to become Europe's go-to location for staging major events after successfully hosting last year's Eurovision. The BBC's former Director General, Lord Tony Hall, will head up a new tourism body representing Liverpool City Region's 6 council areas.
No other city in the UK or indeed in Europe could have pulled off what Liverpool pulled off last year. It was amazing, it was fun, it was warm, it was vibrant, it was everything you know about Liverpool. So what the Visitor Economy Partnership is going to do is to pull together everybody in this city region who has an interest or is a part of how we get more visitors to come to this amazing city.
Stories on the BBC News website, and it's also got reports on Stockport's MP calling for urgent repairs to Stepping Hill Hospital as one of its rundown buildings is demolished. Donald Campbell's Bluebirds attracting more visitors to Ruskin Museum within 2 months than it saw all last year. And 12 young choristers singing a hymn at the top of the Isle of Man's Great Laxey Wheel. You can read all the details at bbc.co.uk/news. A bit of music for you now, and the Ferret in Preston is a well-known venue that down the years has hosted some big names, Buzzcocks, Idols and Ed Sheeran no less among them. Recently though, its very future has been under threat after the building was put up for sale. However, it's now been bought by a charity set out to protect grassroots music. It's the second venue in the Northwest to be bought in this way, with other venues to follow, as Jonas Muller reports.
She don't wanna go outside tonight.
A young Ed Sheeran, just one famous act to have come through the Ferret in Preston. But it's also a training ground for new musicians. Like Gene Genie's Massive Hugs. And that's why this venue's future has been secured.
2 years ago that a for sale sign went up on the outside of the building. The landlord had put the place up for sale, you know, that put us straight into jeopardy really, and we were worried that the place would get taken away from us and closed down, and you know, taken away from the community.
The venue is intimate with a capacity of just 200. The legendary punk rock band Buzzcocks also played here.
Just look round and you can feel the music, you can feel the enthusiasm that the community has for a place like this.
You must get quite a few venues who want you to step in. What was so special about the Ferret?
There are a number of venues that are in a similar perilous condition, but this one had a very specific challenge about the ownership of the building. It went up for sale.
£2.6 million has been raised from over 1,200 investors since 2022, with funding also from Preston City Council and the Arts Council. Last year, the Snug in Atherton became the first venue in the country to benefit from what's dubbed the National Trust of Grassroots Music. What we have in place here is known as a cultural lease. That is, as long as the Ferret operates as a space for grassroots live music, it can have the use of the building. Before the charity stepped in, this track was released last year to fight its cause. And this group were not alone.
We came together here in the Ferret. It's an amazing sense of community, it's home, and we love it. It's a real vibe.
Johnny, you were born in Preston, weren't you?
Yeah, I've certainly seen this place, like, it's grown organically, you know, from the being people just coming in, putting on gigs, and then it's evolved into a music venue.
For Prestonians, this is a special place. Jonas Muller, BBC Northwest Tonight, Preston.
Our Prestonian sports guru Richard Ascombe's apparently a Ferret fan. He goes to the venue quite a lot. He's going to be joining me on the sofa in just a few minutes. Stay tuned for that. Before though, the Science and Industry Museum in Manchester sits on the site of the world's oldest surviving passenger railway station. It's currently part of a £14 million heritage renovation project, with essential work taking place to restore its iconic 1830 viaduct and power hall. They're both long-standing symbols of Manchester's proud industrial past, and Juliette Phillips has been along to see how things are progressing.
Manchester's Science and Industry Museum sits across a mammoth 7 acres. At the moment, a large part of that is a building site. Vital repairs are being made to the world's oldest surviving passenger railway station and the world's first railway goods warehouse. But works of this scale on listed structures isn't easy.
There's some real challenges with it, just from the work that you can do with them, what you can do to the buildings themselves. You can't put anything into the buildings themselves without listed building consent. Like the gantry behind us here, we're currently stripping all the paint back. So we're shot blasting the gantry so that we can then look at waterproofing, repairing any damage. It all takes a lot longer than you would expect it to.
If you visited the museum before, you'll remember the Power Hall. It houses one of the UK's largest collections of working steam engines. It's been closed off for the past 5 years for urgent roof and timber repairs. Even the Grade 2 listed new warehouse, which is still open to the public, is getting some TLC.
The scale of this project is huge. Up here on the roof, every single one of these 60,000 roof tiles is going to need to be replaced, and each one will have to be sympathetic to the type that was put on here around 150 years ago.
Liverpool Road Station, as it was called, opened here in 1830. It was the world's first intercity railway, creating a high-speed connection between Manchester and Liverpool. It was revolutionary for passengers, but also vital to the cotton industry.
The railway was really designed to speed up the transport of raw cotton and finished cloth between Liverpool and Manchester. So it was the primary freight that really drove the development of the railway. And this was raw cotton grown by enslaved people in the southern United States, which was then processed in Manchester's mills and then shipped back out to Liverpool, where it was sold around the world.
Inside the new warehouse, it's business as usual, with scores of visitors arriving here every day. Their experience is set to be transformed when the extensive works here are completed by the summer of next year. Juliet Phillips, BBC North West Tonight, Manchester.
Excellent stuff. Here he is. I hyped his arrival just a few moments ago.
That, as you know.
The Ferret fan himself, Preston's own Richard Ascombe. I heard you shouting outside. You couldn't get in the studio a minute ago, but you're here.
I was caught between. We've got some curtains between the studio. I got stuck for a moment.
You said it was like Narnia, didn't you?
I did. I was like Lucy in the wardrobe.
Anyway, on to the important stuff. Everton boss Sean Dyche's been named Manager of the Month for April after steering the Blues to Premier League safety. They've done so well recently, haven't they? But behind the scenes, there's growing uncertainty, apparently, about a takeover.
There is, Ian. We know as well that the club has decided to withdraw its appeal for the 2-point deduction for breaching financial rules, but there is uncertainty over the outcome of the possible takeover by Miami-based 777 partners. Still very unclear, with the group experiencing serious financial struggles, protests at other football clubs it owns as well. The Premier League is refusing to ratify a deal agreed months ago. There's growing opposition amongst Everton supporters groups, with the Everton Fans Advisory Board calling on owner Farhad Mishiri to look elsewhere.
Clearly, they aren't the knight in shining armour that we want riding down Goodison Road to save our great football club. I'd personally urge Farhad Mishiri that the exclusivity agreements that he signed with them in September of last year, that it's torn off.
Is it realistic at this moment in time, do you think, that agreement with 777 is going to be torn up and open the way for another investor to purchase Everton?
Well, 100%, in my opinion. I want someone to come in who's sympathetic of our history, of our traditions.
Do you believe they're out there?
Absolutely, absolutely. I've spoken to people.
Let's hope it's resolved sooner rather than later. Manchester United women are aiming to make history at the weekend with the chance to win their first major trophy. United face Spurs in the FA Cup final at a sold-out Wembley on Sunday. And after losing out in the final last season, they're determined that this time they'll get their hands on silverware that could kick-start a whole new era. If Manchester United play like they did in the semi-final, the Women's FA Cup is likely to be on its way to Old Trafford.
Very confident we'll do it. I'm just looking forward to it. It could be a piece of history. I'm a bit nervous, but I'm quietly confident.
And despite patchy league form, United's team will be confident as well. Certainly with the woman many see as the best goalkeeper in the world between the sticks.
These are the moments that you dream of growing up, playing at a packed-out Wembley in a FA Cup final. The opportunity to win a trophy, the opportunity to play at a historic stadium, fantastic pitch, fantastic atmosphere. It's what I've worked for. This is why I train so hard. Use it, enjoy it, and I really hope that we go out there and get the win.
A win against a Spurs team who sit a place below United in the league, with most neutral observers tipping the Reds to use the disappointment of last season's Wembley defeat to Chelsea to go one better this time.
They had their best performance in the semi-final against Chelsea. You know how good this Manchester United team is. They've just got to bring it on a more regular occasion. Starting obviously this Sunday, cup final day. Manchester United arguably are the favourites.
Favourites to bring home the first major silverware for a United women's team that was only formed less than 6 years ago. What would it mean to women's football here at Manchester United if they come home with that major trophy?
I think it's going to set a precedent, be that springboard. There's everyone there watching it. I hope Jim Radcliffe comes down and watches that game.
and you know, shows that we need to keep investing in the women's team, and we can have a massive impact on women's football totally across the country.
The Reds have the chance to do just that at a sold-out Wembley on Sunday.
Best of luck to United and to Crewe Alexandra, who tonight are at Doncaster Rovers for the second leg of their League Two playoff semi-final. The Alex are 2-0 down from the first leg. On to cricket, and bottom of the table Lancashire made a solid start to their County Championship Division 1 match against Nottinghamshire at Trent Bridge, helped by a knock of 91 runs from Keaton Jennings. At the close of play, the Red Rose have moved on to 306 for 8 in their first innings. It's not all bad news for Everton. Have a look at this. Superfan Mick celebrated his Citizen of Honour award in style last night by dancing with councillors at Liverpool's Town Hall. Mick's walked thousands of miles, of course, over the years, wearing nothing but his Everton swimming trunks to raise more than £1 million. I would wager, Ian, they were underneath his suit.
Yeah, that took my breath away. I thought we were going to hear a bit of his music. I don't know what that music was. I don't know what those moves were all about, but I like them.
Oh, I love them. He's amazing, isn't he?
He is, and a lot of people in the newsroom were saying they don't recognise him with his clothes on.
Well, you said it out loud.
Yeah, I said it out loud. Anyway, thank you very much, Rich. Now, OK Cruton fans, a good night for you. Get a double helping of our Marple-based weather sensation tonight. She's got the forecast later, and as we're about to see now, has also been back on the road to another location in the northwest that you love. This week caught her off guard as our viewer was slightly younger than most.
At the northeastern tip of the Wirral Peninsula, you'll find this seaside resort. Home to the UK's longest promenade and the first ever British amusement arcade. This Victorian treasure was built by merchant James Atherton in 1830 to rival the Regency resort of Brighton. Boasting an iconic tower, ballroom and pier, for James there was only one name in mind: New Brighton, which is where I've come to meet one of our younger viewers, 10-year-old Rachel. Now you emailed me, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you said that you love where you live.
Yeah.
Can you tell me why you love where we are?
Because there's a fairy village and I love fairies.
Do you?
Yeah. I love living here in New Brighton because I get to play on the beach. When it's summer, I like to build sandcastles.
And you like to do self-portraits?
Yeah.
Right, now come on you, let's go and have a look at some of these places that you told me about. I am very excited to see the fairy garden.
This is Vale Park. I like being here because there's a fairy village and there's Trolley the Troll.
That is magnificent. Trolley the Troll. No wonder you love it here. New Brighton is located on the Bay of Liverpool, where the River Mersey meets the Irish Sea. This location proved to be hugely important. You can see behind me Fort Perch Rock. Now, this was built in the 1820s. It was a coastal defence battery, and it was built to protect the port of Liverpool during the wars. Now, it's not used for that now, but apparently you can get a decent brew in there. So I reckon we should go. Suitably refreshed, I met up with Rachel's mum, Carol. Is this another park?
No, it's the grounds of the Tower Ballroom.
I imagine this was a beautiful place back in the day.
Oh, it must have been, yes. Rachel's great-grandparents met at the ballroom at a dance. She's the 4th generation of a family that lives here.
So what makes it so special?
All the green space, the Mersey, all the people are friendly, and there's no other place like it. I wouldn't want to leave.
Sadly, my time in New Brighton was up. But before I hit the road, Rachel and I had one last thing to do. That's it. Perfect. That's it. Ready? We love New Brighton! Oh, I truly did love New Brighton. Thank you, Rachel, so much. I really did work hard and she put in a lot of effort, so thank you. Perhaps you too love where you live. Drop me an email, k.cruton@bbc.co.uk, and you never know, you and me could be hanging out for the day and finding out why you love where you live. Now then, I certainly love where I live today because it's been glorious. We got 23 degrees in some spots. This is how it looked in Cheshire. Beautiful scenes. A little bit cooler on the Isle of Man, but all parts had a dry and a fine day. Will it last? Well, there's good news. Warm and sunny through tomorrow. In fact, it should be a really pleasant day. But the breakdown starts to come through on Sunday. We do have a warning in force for that. I'll come to that in a minute. We're under the influence of high pressure, and it just about stays with us as we head through this evening and overnight tonight. And under that high pressure, we're going to have predominantly clear skies, which gives us the perfect opportunity to see scenes like this, especially further north that you are. Now, Johnny snapped this picture back in March. It is, of course, the aurora, and there's a real chance of seeing it tonight. So if you get a chance, do take a peep out of the window. As we head through this evening and overnight, it stays dry and fine, and actually it's going to be quite a warm night tonight. Temperatures in some spots not dropping off much lower than about 13 degrees. The winds remain fairly gentle. There'll be some patches of mist and fog in places, but not quite as extensive as we've had over the past few days. Now, as we go through tomorrow, a beautiful day, dry and fine, good spells of sunshine. The breeze stays really quite light. Now, my sister suffers really badly from hay fever. Pollen high through tomorrow, particularly trees. UV levels high tomorrow. Sun cream on if you are heading out. 22, 23 degrees in some spots. Bit cooler on the Isle of Man, but still lovely. Then we get to that warning that I talked about. So this is valid Sunday, midday until 10 p.m. And we are looking at some sharp showers, the odd rumble of thunder. You could see some lightning. Not all, though. We start off fine. Good spells of sunshine. It'll be a warm morning. Cloud starts to bubble up, we start to see the showers coming through. So like I said, not everyone will see them. It's probably going to feel quite muggy. Around those showers, though, the winds will be quite blustery. Temperatures again, about 22 or 23 degrees, cooler on the Isle of Man. And that trend, I'm afraid, stays with us as we head into next week. Temperatures become more like average for the time of year, Ian. And that is your forecast.
Okay, please join me on my
I will. Thank you so
luxury red
much.
sofa. Actually, it's really uncomfy, isn't it, to be fair? No luxury here. Now, 10-year-old Rachel from New Brighton loved where she lived, as we just saw. Another person in our region who will most definitely love where he lives is 56-year-old Kevin. He's a big Manchester City fan and has just won a £3.5 million house in Cheshire from a £25 ticket he bought in a draw. He's hoping, apparently, to bump into Jack Grealish, a Manchester City midfielder, when he pops to the shops.
And it's raised a whopping £3 million for the cancer charity Bal Babe Fund. So a win-win for everyone. Well done.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Yeah. Steve Saul would love you to watch him reading the 10:30 news, but from me and Kay, bye-bye.
Take care.